Hey YouTube, what's up? My name is Jonathan. I'm one of the co-hosts of this podcast. I just wanted to preface this episode and say thank you for checking it out. I hope you guys enjoy it, and don't forget to subscribe, to like this video, and to share it with your friends. Also, check us out on Instagram at Talk Progression. Also, there's a link in the bio if you just want to listen to the audio version of this podcast. That's available as well. Also, just wanted to give you guys a heads up that the intro is static. We're still working on getting an animated version of that, but the rest of the podcast has video. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and thanks for checking us out. We'll see you around. Hello, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Sam.
And this is Progression in Progress. All right, welcome back to another episode of Progression in Progress. As always, we're back at it again. Welcome to the show. We're just trying to figure things out as we are constantly progressing, I guess. I don't know. That was a pretty terrible intro. That was pretty bad.
We're progressing in progress.
Exactly. So one day the intro will not suck. I keep trying to improve the intro and it just keeps getting worse and worse, but we are here recording another episode, and we have a very interesting topic today. I'm actually pretty excited for this one. I'm pretty excited. So the topic today, and I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to. Hopefully a lot of people have been thinking about it recently. We might be hopping on the bandwagon. I don't know if other people are talking about it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Maybe. Who knows? But we are talking about proper social media usage. And that probably, I guess the inspiration for that, I can just go into why I wanted to talk about this, and then Sam can add his 2 cents. Or his 3 cents, because he's a big baller these days. But so what I think is, I've been thinking about how much social media consumption is good, and I've just been noticing when I, for example, sometimes if I'm not trying very hard to limit my social media usage and I'm just doing whatever I want, I'll be watching videos all day while I'm doing things. Not really while I'm doing like productive things like homework or whatever. But I'll be getting ready and I'll watch a video. I'll be eating breakfast and I'll watch something or listen to something, and I'll be getting ready for bed and like just about to go to bed or whatever, or talk, or, just random things, making dinner, and I just will have something playing or watching a video or something, and I don't know. And my question is, right, because I've gotten pretty decent at not like just getting distracted on social media while doing homework or while doing something productive. I'm not perfect at it. That's for sure. I'm not perfect at it, but I've gotten, if I had to rate myself, I'd be maybe slightly, I'm doing a pretty decent job when it comes to that. But just like all throughout the day, if I don't try, I'm always listening to something. And so that I've been thinking about, so the reason I bring that up is, right, because I've been thinking about, how much of that is good, how much of that is bad. And then also I feel like it's a common thing that a lot of people struggle with social media usage. And even though I feel like I've gotten decent at kind of policing my social media usage, it's not perfect by any means, and I still catch myself like messing up or listening to too much or wasting too much time, so I don't know. That's my rant. Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, so I guess for me it's almost like I use social media, and for me, I've never felt like really it's, I guess, a problem when maybe it actually is. Like, I think I'm kind of similar to you, where I just kind of use it, just kind of in between doing things, or when there's a spare moment, I'll just kind of be using it. And I sometimes try to make it feel like, or I make it seem like in my own head that, oh, I'm just kind of using it to catch up on all the latest news and events, and just kind of not wasting time, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But it, as soon, all the news and new stuff kind of, like, for me anyway, is kind of over and done with after the first probably like 5 minutes, and after that it's just all kind of mindless content. So
sure. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, because it's like we convince ourselves, especially like in the moments I feel like we're using social media, right? Because there's like when you're just sitting down and you're just mindlessly scrolling, right? I think most people are going to agree that's not good.
Yeah.
That's not good. But what, the conversation here, what we're trying to figure out is, or have a discussion about is, the situations that Sam and I are talking about. Like, is it good for us? Or is it, is it bad? Is it good? Is it whatever, neutral for us to just be consuming media all the time? And then I guess in addition to that, we want to talk about when is it, what way can you sit down and scroll through Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or whatever and make that a beneficial thing, make that a positive, uplifting thing, instead of a negative thing. And I guess the reason we're even having this discussion, well, one, because we've been thinking about that, I also watched The Social Dilemma like everyone else on planet Earth, except Sam. Sam didn't watch it, I don't think.
No, I
so
did.
You did? You watched it?
I watched it, yeah.
Oh, that's right. We talked about it.
Yeah.
I forgot. Okay, yeah. So everyone.
So we're on the same page.
We're on the same page. Okay, yeah. So yeah, okay, good. For some reason, I thought you didn't watch it. Okay, so we're good. So yeah, Sam and I both watched it. I've been thinking about this before. Social Dilemma kind of bring it to the forefront of my mind again.
Yeah.
And then, but the reason we're even here, the reason this discussion is longer than 2 seconds is because there are some good aspects of social media, right?
Yeah. I don't think we just want to say all social media is bad, which I feel like, I don't even think The Social Dilemma really kind of said that, but it kind of made you think that way.
Sure. That's what happens when you watch documentaries like that. I've watched enough vegan documentaries to know, right, and I've watched enough like commentary videos on YouTube, right, where they lay out their narrative and it makes a lot of sense and it's really compelling.
Yep.
But then you don't take the whole picture into account always.
Yeah.
So I guess the reason we're even talking about this and not just saying, okay, the reason why we're not just like, okay, delete everything, don't use it, go live in the woods, which honestly wouldn't be the worst. But so Sam and I wrote down a few notes, right? It's like we wrote down like, okay, it's Sam kind of talked about this one, like it can uplift others. Like, what do you mean by that? Like it uplifts others?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely good things. Like I was kind of talking about before how I feel like in kind of the start of social media in a way, like no one really knew what it could do or like what to exactly use it for. And so I kind of feel like in the beginning it was more of a positive thing. People would just post about their days, like good things that happened to them. I mean, even now there's always, videos you can watch of, people doing good for people. I mean, even if, that's a whole other discussion of whether or not like, people monetizing or, if there's ulterior motives of people like,
and we can definitely get into that.
Homeless, but stuff like that, but it's still, I think, good, but
yeah. Well, so it can definitely, there can be an uplifting effect. And like, there's something special, right? When you see, a cool picture from a friend or a cool video or something from friend or family, right? There's something cool of that, or at least beneficial.
Yeah.
And then there's also every now and then, you watch a funny video, right? And that just kind of is like what you needed. All the time I'll be falling asleep doing homework. I've gotten pretty decent at not falling asleep doing homework, but sometimes when I'm just feeling it, I'm just like in the doldrums dying, I'll just watch a video and that will like liven me up, right? And get me, spend 5 minutes watching a video and I'm back to life, right?
Yeah, totally.
But another thing that we wrote down is like there's a sense of community if you really wanted to. I think one of the great things about the internet is you can take your interests and then you can find your group, right? You can find a YouTuber, you can find a forum, you can find a Instagram page or a Twitter page all about your specific interest, right? Mm-hmm. That's something that was much, much more difficult beforehand. So I think that's definitely a positive. You can find your group, you can find your niche, and you can really dive deep into that. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, especially now that we're all social distancing and all that kind of stuff. So
True. Another thing that I think we talked about is, right, I wrote in my notes, keep up with actual family and friends. I guess I should have put the word actual next to friends, because your family is your family, right? But actual friends.
Family.
Maybe, right? Sorry, my great aunt on my distant great aunt cousin family's dog. Like, I guess that doesn't count as family. But shoot, I actually think I have a great aunt cousin's dog that I follow on Instagram. So maybe I'm such an idiot for doing that. But I actually, no, I'm not. I like that page. All right. I'm a big fan of that. So I'd include that in actual family, but okay. So like, for example, what I mean by that, right, is you're keeping up with family, ignore my whole stupid rant about actual family, right? But like actual friends, like my actual friends, I don't know if you can count that person that I kind of talked to in middle school, maybe once or twice, and then followed on Instagram as an actual friend, right? You know what I mean?
Totally.
And then another, we might be drawing this out too much, talking about the good things, but I think it's important to highlight the good things because that's why we're even having the discussion in the first place, right? But you can learn. It's the ability to learn online is incredible.
Yep.
It's truly incredible. And then also it helps you be informed. I feel like those go hand in hand. The being informed part is starting to become a problem in some ways, but I don't want to get into that. And then entertainment, right? It's just hands down, it's just entertaining sometimes, right?
Yep.
But like we said, the reason we're having this conversation is because it's not just those things, right? It's morphed into something else. It's changed. It's not, like Sam was saying earlier, it's not what it used to be. And I don't even know if, it's not what it used to be, right? Where it was just posting pictures of what's going on in your life and just having a good time. There's a lot more mindless scrolling. I think there's a lot more polarizing content. And we could make a whole podcast dedicated to polarizing content, right? Just discussing the effects that it's having on our society right now. Polarizing content. Let's see, what else did we write down in our notes? Oh, right. Okay. There's a lot of extra unnecessary noise. That's kind of where my whole why I started thinking about this started from, right? Is that I felt like there's so much extra unnecessary noise, and I just wanted to be like, okay, do I really need this in my life? Do I not? How much of it is uplifting, like we were talking about earlier, and how much of it is just, crowding out the things that I actually need to think about, or the things that I actually want to consume, right?
Yeah.
And then let's see, what else did we write down? Just downright, people waste time on social media.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did we miss anything, Sam? What do you think?
No, I think it pretty much covers it. It's definitely changed into this whole new thing, and it's, I don't know. It can be good, but I feel like it's kind of evolving to something bad.
Yep. Well, one thing that I used to think about all the time, not all the time, but kind of this last year or two or three, I've been thinking, okay, the news, like if you think about the news, like you just think about news channels, right? The news's job, right? Or the news is not a benevolent, wonderful, like I'm talking about news as if it's one person, right? But it's not. Right. But like the news is not some benevolent, happy, jolly man who just wants to politely inform you, right? Sure. Yep. The news's business model, the news is a business, and they win, they're profitable, they are more successful business when they get you to watch.
Yep.
Right. So I always think that's so important to keep in the back of your mind. Like, okay, these are not just people doing it. I mean, obviously they might have a passion for it, right? But they're not just doing it because they want to. There's a business aspect of it involved, right? It's a business. Mm-hmm. And the same exact thing. And this is something the Social Dilemma highlighted so very well, that the social media's business model is to get you to use it as much as possible.
Yep.
I don't know. What do you think about that, Sam? How do you think that factors into to how we could think about this?
So I think a lot of that, like you were saying, was kind of highlighted in the Social Dilemma. But basically, all the social medias, all the news, everything is just trying to get you to watch it. So they're going to use any tactic they have to make it compelling, or even like clickbaity, to go ahead and click and watch that. And so you just kind of have to, it's hard to, they've been working at this for years and years and years to get it. So, you just keep going back and keep watching, and maybe even you're under the illusion that you're kind of learning or you're getting informed, when really you're just kind of playing into that game of, whatever they're setting up for you.
Sure. Kind of and I don't think I'm not mentioning this because I think it's evil for businesses to be businesses. Right, I don't think it's evil for businesses to be businesses, but I think it's important to understand what the business wants from you when you're consuming their product.
Exactly.
Right? I honestly don't know if I have a huge, well, I guess I'm conflicted, right? Because I don't think it's good for a society the way that these companies make, like the way for these companies to be most profitable is maybe not in the best interest of society. But at the same time, I don't have an issue with these companies doing what they can, right? They're businesses. They're going to try to make money. Right. It's just how it is. Right. And we can't, I personally, this is my opinion, right? I don't think we should like burn it all down to the ground just because these businesses are trying to make money.
No.
Right. But I think a lot of this is maybe where my opinion might be different from other people. I think the responsibility is more on the consumer than the producer. That's just my personal opinion. And we can talk about that when we get into the solution part of this. But it's I don't know. I guess we've laid out the problems, or sorry, we've laid out what's good, and then we've laid out the problems, right? People are wasting time. They're mindlessly scrolling. I think another thing we didn't hit on is, right, people are crowding out the ability to just think, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the big things that I stress out about. And I was telling you about this, Sam, too, right? Is like, okay, if I start watching a video, and especially if it's on the more polarizing side of things, I feel like if I just watch a little funny video for 5 minutes, that doesn't have the same type of effect as it does if I watch like a video about politics or something like that.
Right.
But like, especially if you listen to very stimulating or watch very stimulating content, it's going to take up space in your brain.
Yep.
You're going to be thinking about it. Right. And that's a big reason why I've been thinking about this. Right. Because if I watch what I was saying is like, I'll be watching a video or something. And then that just like, I start thinking about that video.
Mm-hmm.
And I start thinking about like, what would I say? What would I do? What would I respond to? How would I respond to that? Right. And is that taking up valuable space in my brain? And I think sometimes the answer is definitely yes. So I guess that's another problem. But then going for full circle, right? Or not even full circle, but just taking a step back. There are good things about social media. There are reasons to use it. So Sam, what do you think we can do to get back on track? What do you think we can do to properly use social media? What is the proper usage in terms of time, in terms of methodology, in terms of timing, like when you listen and watch? Is there a proper way to use social media?
Yeah. So I feel like this is probably different for every person depending on, what they're doing, what they need it for, or, don't need it for. But I was just kind of thinking, we're talking about this before, of kind of using social media as more of a tool than just kind of something to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like going into it with a purpose and then kind of getting out. So like for example, we kind of use it as a tool to like kind of promote the show and try to uplift people that way by pointing to this. So just going in, doing that, getting out. Or like if you were looking to just learn something or whatever, you go in there and look that up. You can find, like we were talking about before, the wealth of knowledge that you can find on the internet.
Yeah.
And then you can get it out that way instead of just, getting caught in just mindlessly scrolling or whatever after you go in to do those things, which is easy to do. That's probably a good way to, one way to go about it.
As have a purpose. I think that can definitely help for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's a correct mindset, right? Going in with having a purpose, but it's so hard. It's so hard because, like we were talking about earlier, these applications are designed to get you to spend as much time on it as possible.
Yep.
Right. So you go in with a purpose. That's probably where I mess up the most. I go in with a legitimate purpose. Oh, I want to see this. I want to watch this. I want to look at this, or I just want to do this. And then all of a sudden it's like, it goes from like, I've picked up my phone to do this one thing. And then all of a sudden I'm on Instagram scrolling and I'm like, wait a second, how did I get here?
Right. Yeah.
I was literally like, I don't even remember how I got here. It's like a zombie, right? Like I'm a zombie, right? So I think having a purpose and being mindful about that purpose can definitely help counteract that, for sure. And I like, use it as a tool, don't let it control you, right? That's not an original thought that we've had, but that's definitely a good way to look at it. One thing that I wanted to talk about is like different types of content, and we've already mentioned this a little bit, different types of content at different times of the day. I've already mentioned this a little bit, but right. And I was talking to you about this when we were planning this, Sam, right? I was talking about this, like, for example, I think watching or listening to something about econ or about business, right? Because that's what I'm studying right now. I'm taking an econ class, I'm taking a finance class, and those are things that interest me. Watching a video or listening to a podcast in the morning when I'm getting ready or doing random things around the house, I think is less I don't know if I want to use the harmful, but it's less bad. It can still be, it might even be good, right? There's an argument, right? I think it's good, definitely less bad. I guess you can argue whether or not if it's good or not, right?
You're
But
educating yourself.
exactly.
Maybe.
That's the point. I'm educating myself. I'm trying to do something that's trying to, I'm trying to learn more. I'm trying to think about these things that are important. If I'm thinking about econ outside of class, that definitely helps my understanding. I feel like that's one of the reasons I've been able to do well in my econ class, my finance class, is because this is not the first time I've ever thought about these things, right? I've been thinking
Yeah,
about it before. I mean, I'm no expert by any means, right? But I've thought about it before.
exactly.
Um, and so I think controlling what type of media you listen to or watch or consume at different parts of the day is another way that you can properly use social media, right? The time to watch maybe an interesting polarizing video, a political video might be much better to watch that while I'm eating dinner, right? And not doing anything productive while I'm eating dinner or making dinner, right? That might be the correct time to watch that instead of watching it the first thing in the morning and then I'm thinking about it all day while I'm getting ready and it's just taking up headspace, right?
Right. I would even
What
argue maybe it'd be better in the middle of the day, and then you have that, and then you can kind of forget about it doing the rest of your day, and then
maybe
coming back to just having a more clear headspace before you go to
maybe
bed, maybe.
maybe
But
yeah.
yeah, no,
Well,
definitely. Like watching things at certain times can definitely change how you view them or how you think about them, and can definitely change your mentality for the rest of whatever you're doing or time that you have.
yeah. And I think another thing too is just the timing in general when you do media. So I guess, right, I was talking about podcasts and videos before, but like for example, Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever, I think choosing what time you look at those can also help, right? If you're like, okay, like if you just have your time where you check it, I think that's much more beneficial if you're just checking it throughout the day. What do you
Right.
think?
Yeah, you just said like setting a dedicated time to check certain feeds or timelines or whatever it is
Sure.
could definitely help monitor or limit your usage a bit. Definitely, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think, yeah. If you just choose a time, I feel like you're less likely or you're more likely to spend less time if you do something like that. I mean, maybe that's not scientific, but that's what I think.
Yeah.
So that's one way you could properly use social media. I think, okay, this is what I've been doing, Sam, and I want to get your opinion on this. I've been trying to cut out the extra noise. Um, and I've been trying to cut out the extra noise. Like, for example, at the beginning, we were talking about actual friends. And hopefully, I don't offend anyone by saying this. I don't think anyone who would be listening to this, um, falls into this category. I seriously, seriously, seriously doubt anyone listening to this falls into the category, right? But like all those random people from middle school that I barely even knew, right?
Yep.
I've just been every time I see one of those on my feed, I'm like, okay, sorry, but I'm going to mute you, right?
Right.
Not because it's like, anything against them. It's just right. It's like, how many pictures do I need from these people in middle school that I don't even talk to and barely even talk to when I was in middle school with them?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Not in your immediate circle.
Exactly. Right. Just trying to fill my feed with people that are closer, right? That are closer, I guess, degrees of connection, right?
Right. Yeah. That
I
you
don't know.
would maybe
Is that
be
a mean
able.
thing?
No, I don't
It,
think it's mean at all. Like, if you're not ever really going to be in contact with that person anyway, it's kind of like, oh, what's the point if it's
yeah,
not bringing something else to your life as well? Whereas if it was someone closer, maybe that could be like a springboard to like having a good conversation with them or,
sure.
something like that. So,
Sure. And I think another thing that I need to do more is I need to interact more, right? I think I enjoy social media more when I'm commenting and responding to people's stories, right? I think I think that like actually interacting, you making it social, right? Putting
right.
the social in social media, I think can be really helpful too. Instead of just scrolling, um, and and then not interacting at all. I think bringing up your level of interaction can help.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm definitely probably the biggest person that doesn't like I admit like I'd never even like anything or anything. I mindlessly just scroll, and I feel like if you're actually kind of commenting things or engaging with things, it can, as long as it's with like actual like good things, or like you're trying to, I don't know, like uplift people or something like that, is probably would make it more, at
Hmm.
least even if it's not for yourself, maybe helping someone else, than just kind of
Yeah,
mindlessly scrolling and
for
feeding
sure.
into the machine.
For sure. And I think if we, in a perfect world, this is an idea I've had, and I'm sure it exists and probably won't work because it would be impossible to compete with the already existing social media ideas. But I'd be super down, I feel like, to pay $1 a month, of $2 a month, maybe even more, to have a social media account where there's no like counter and
Mm,
no numbers attached to it.
yeah,
Right. Because I feel like I'd be much more likely to post. I'd be much more likely to share things. Um, I'd be much more likely to interact, to engage. Right. And it's kind of stupid that we are so concerned with all that stuff, but I feel like even if it's subconsciously, it plays an effect, right?
oh totally.
So I feel like I feel like that'd be a perfect world, right? Social media. Oh yeah, social media where you have to pay for it, but then you don't have all these other stupid features, right? No advertising, um, no likes, no numbers, no any of that, right?
Right, yeah.
Um, but except maybe for business profiles, or maybe it would be a thing where business profiles don't exist on it. I don't know. Um, that could be interesting. Okay, but I guess to wrap things up, I think these are kind of, when Sam and I were planning this, there was two ideas that that I feel like it really sum it up of how to make the change, or how we're going to try to make the change, or the most important factor in making this change, right? To properly use social media. I think something that's super important that Sam brought up, and I'm really glad Sam brought this up when we were planning this, is that you have to replace it with something else. So maybe Sam, you want to describe that a little bit?
Totally. Yeah, so I was saying like the biggest thing I kind of feel like for almost any habit or thing of that nature is it's really hard just to completely cut something out and just kind of go cold turkey on it. I mean, some people can for some things, and if you can do that, more power to you. But
Sure. Yeah.
I think a lot of people kind of need to like kind of transition to something else or just replace things. So I kind of had um, like an experience like that before, where I was like really into like one thing, like one kind of like a media site, and then I had, it was like for a game I used to play, and I was just really into looking at it. Even though I stopped even playing the game, I was still just looking at it and stuff. And so uh, it was good to finally be able to replace that with, I found something new and better, I guess. Still, I mean, it's still social media, but um, it it was a positive change because I was able to switch to that, and I'd probably say I spent less time on it, and was able to get more out of it because it wasn't so specific to a certain game or anything like that. But I just think in general, like if you, not even, that's probably a bad example, but if you have like, if you're really addicted to social media or something like that, and I think the best way maybe for some people would be able to replace that with something like you're interested in like learning or doing, like, if you've always been interested in, I don't know, tightrope walking or something,
That is the
maybe.
most random thing you could have chosen, but I love it. You
Yeah.
remember that Instagram post that I made with you tightrope walking? I edited you tightrope walking.
Oh yeah, that was a while ago, huh?
So maybe
Man,
subconsciously I got you.
maybe, yeah. But yeah, like if you actually have things that you're passionate about or things that you're trying to learn or improve at, to go ahead and replace these other things with, then I think that's probably the best way to go about uplifting yourself and, changing your habits.
It's
Sorry,
so
it's
true.
kind of
I
a
think,
weird rant there, but
yeah, and I think it's so true. It's much easier to to break a habit or to change your habit if you have something to do instead of that. It's so much easier. Because so for example, like when I decide, okay, I'm not going to listen to anything this morning and I'm just going to think, right? Like I'm getting ready for the day. I'm just not going to listen to anything. It's a lot of times it's tough to just like, I mean, the reason you did it in the first place is, there was a reason you did it in the first place. There was a reason you turned on something, a podcast or watched a video or something. Right. So it's hard to just be like, okay, I'm just going to sit there and not watch anything. Right. And not do anything and just sit there. Right. You can't do that. It's not going to work. Like, what's the point? Is that even really better? Now, I guess if you're not listening to a podcast or video and you're thinking to yourself, that might be better. Right. But like, for example, if you're wasting time on Instagram scrolling and you decide no more scrolling on Instagram, and then instead of doing something with that time and you just sit there and do nothing, right? And you just are bored. Like, what's the point? Right. And it's going to be so much harder to actually make that habit sustainable. And I think this is another thing. I mean, I'm crazy when it comes to food. And being dedicated, I'm a nut job, right? When it comes to healthy foods, right? So I might be in my experience with healthy foods might be a little different than the average person, maybe, but I think it's a lot easier. Okay, well, actually, okay, for me, I was able to kind of just be like, okay, I'm not eating these things, right? I'm not eating these things, but I feel like a lot of people might have more success. So maybe, I don't know, let me know what you guys think, but I feel like maybe some people might have more success instead of deciding I'm not going to eat these things, they decide I'm going to eat this, right? Because that's the hardest part about eating healthy is you don't know what you're going to eat, right?
Yeah, totally.
I think it'd be a lot easier to eat healthy if you were just sitting there and then, oh, boom, there's a salad perfectly made, tastes good, I'm going to eat it, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's still hard, right?
Yeah. Like I had... Yes, for me, it's like kind of similar thing. Like so random example, I guess, is I was a huge soda drinker. I just drink a ton all the time. I prided myself on it almost. You can if you dig into the archives, maybe you can find some videos. But about a year or so ago, I just kind of decided to switch off of it, but of course, I mean, it's kind of easy for that because there's an obvious thing you should be drinking all the time, which is water. But, just kind of switched to that and drink that a lot more. And then eventually it just kind of became, good. Don't even crave the other thing anymore.
Well, maybe even in a better example, Sam, is you stopped eating fast food, not just because you wanted to stop eating fast food, but because you wanted to save money, right?
Right, yeah.
Dang.
And, yeah, probably healthier.
Well, yeah, it is healthier, for sure. But it's not like, and I still get mad at you that you haven't replaced fast food eating with healthy food eating. You just eat less, which I think is dumb. And next time I'm in California, I'm going to whip you up into shape. You better get ready. If you replace it with something, it's a lot easier, I guess, is the moral of that. Right. And then I guess the last thing that I want to wrap it up with, the last thing is that you're going to have willpower. You're going to have some willpower.
Yep.
You can't just be like, okay, I'm going to do this and then not have any willpower. You're going to have to decide not to do something. You're going to have to put the phone down. You're going to have to turn the phone off. You're going to have to make a conscious effort to make a change.
Yeah, and I feel like it kind of goes back to, what was it? Was it Adam's episode a long time ago? Where I think you kind of also need like a motivation behind it. Because if you're just like deciding to quit just to quit, and
so true.
Like you have to, okay, this is why I'm quitting. This is my purpose behind it. This is what I'm replacing it with. If you just have the willpower to do it for no reason, then I don't know how much it's even helping you.
Sure. Like, for example, I used to play video games a ton, right? I used to play a ton. And I don't know if you remember this, Sam, when I decided that I was going to start playing less, our friends were giving us some crap, or my friends were giving, our mutual friends were giving me some crap and stuff. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the reason I think I've been able to stick with that habit, and who knows, maybe I don't want to put myself on a giant hill that I'll never come down from. I'm sure I'll play some video games over the summer with my brothers or something, right?
Right.
But the reason that it's not the same, I don't waste so much time like I used to, in high school. It was, the reason why it's not like that anymore is not because I decided to stop playing video games and then sit there and do nothing, right? And just stare at the wall instead of playing video games. It's because I decided, okay, I don't know if video games are worth my time, at least in the quantity that I'm spending on it currently. You know, back in the day, how much I was spending, it's not worth my time. I think I'm going to do this, whether it be study or spend time with friends or do something productive, right? I had to fill that gap, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We kind of went back to the, I guess, to the, you have to have other stuff to do. And I guess I was trying to wrap things up by saying that you have to have some willpower, right? There's got to be some willpower involved. This is my only critique of the social dilemma. And I hope this isn't too political because I don't want it to be, but rather my only critique of the social dilemma is I felt like they wanted the government to step in and fix things. And I think there needs to be some, the government might need to take some actions, with Section 230 and stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day, the bottom line, what it comes down to is you and how you decide to use it. I think, and that's where the willpower comes in. I don't think if you're expecting social media to be regulated so it's perfect and is not harmful, harmful and addicting at all, that's not going to happen. So at the end of the day, you got to make the decision, right? It's just like if we were talking about food earlier, if you just think all of a sudden all the nasty, unhealthy food is just going to disappear overnight, that's not going to happen. We can maybe improve our regulations or something, right? Slowly over time, tax regulation, whatever you want to say, to help encourage people to eat healthy food or to help it make it easier to eat healthy food. But at the end of the day, it's your personal responsibility to use social media properly.
Yeah. Like, I think if everyone just made the, conscious choice to not do certain things, then, all these big businesses and whatever, like, wouldn't even have like a platform to stand on because, people are already making those new positive changes and maybe things would change. So, yeah. All
right. Well, this episode is pretty dang long. How long is this episode, Sam? I can't see the timer.
It's about 35 minutes right now.
Oh, 35 minutes? Are you serious?
A little bit more.
Oh, no. Okay. We got to end this. I didn't mean for it to be this long. Dang it. I shouldn't cover my timer because then I'll never know how long the episode is. But okay. So thank you so much for listening to another episode of Progression in Progress. Just a reminder, we now have the video version on YouTube. So if that's what you're down for, if that's how you like to watch podcasts, listen to podcasts with video, I guess. We got it on YouTube. Also, stickers. I'm showing them on the video right now, but we got 3 different designs. You can see it on my Instagram if you're listening to the audio version, right? We got stickers, we got the logo, we got my gigantic head, we got listen to this. So if you want a sticker, just send us a DM, send me a text. If you know me, send me a DM, right? And we'll ship it to you for free. Also, what else, Sam?
So also just be sure to follow us on all of our platforms, Instagram @Talk Progression, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then also just be sure to share this podcast, leave a comment or a review, give us 5 stars, helps us out, and anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys around. Oh, did you say follow Talk Progression on social media?
Yes, follow Talk Progression. Okay. Do it.
Yes, even though and then properly use it, okay?
Yes.
Don't just mindlessly scroll through our crap, okay? Properly use it.
Just look at our new updates and stuff. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.